All right, I am back with another dose of crypto airdrop alpha for you. I've been away for a couple of days and a few things have happened in my absence, and there's a lot of stuff that you need to know to stay on top of it. So without wasting any of your time, I'm just gonna jump right into the updates. This might be a little bit of a longer video because I wanna make sure to hit everything. So for starters, EtherFi's Mega Week is open and it's gonna be on until February 10th. And so if you are still on the fence and considering whether or not you want to try to farm the EIGEN airdrop and the EtherFi airdrop, this is a golden opportunity and you have less than a week left to get in. And if you mint some ETH with EtherFi before the end of this event, then you get bonus points for the EIGEN airdrop as well as a boost or a multiple on your EtherFi airdrop points. So EtherFi is dishing out bonus EIGEN points at a rate of 100 per 1 ETH for people that deposit new ETH with the EtherFi protocol. And so this is a golden opportunity to get way more points than you would otherwise get. And if you were thinking that it might be too late to farm the EIGEN airdrop, trust me, it's not. Especially if you have a reasonable amount of capital to allocate towards this. Okay, next up, the Mode Network launched their mainnet. And there's actually a couple of things that you can do if you want to interact with this and try to qualify for this airdrop. Now, I am planning on making a full breakdown and tutorial of the Mode Network airdrop next week, including showing you how to bridge and a bunch of different things that you can do with your ETH once you bridge it to Mode, including using their DEXs, using their name service, and a few other things. But if you want to jump ahead and get started and not wait for that tutorial, then I recommend you check to see how many points you already qualify for, because your wallet, if it has a history of doing some transactions in DeFi, holding some NFTs and just generally being active, then you already probably qualify for some points. And then if you bridge to the Mode Network, you'll get more points as well. And this is the same as with many of these other programs, including the Blast Network and the Manta L2. The more that you bridge, the more points that you get. But since this is still brand new, you have a much better chance of getting a decent allocation from the Mode Network by being one of the first people through the door than if you were to try and join the Blast Network right now. Now, using the official Mode bridge is quite simple. You just select which asset you want to send from Ethereum to Mode, and you can also bridge back if you want to. But before you do bridge, I recommend linking your wallet to their point system, connecting your Twitter account, and doing this pre-check. And if you use my referral code, then that will help out the channel as well. But yes, stay tuned because in the next couple of days, I'm going to bring a full breakdown, a full walkthrough of this one. So if you want to hold off for that, by all means, but if you want to jump ahead, I do think that this is going to be a decent opportunity. Okay, next up, we have another update from Merkley. So this is becoming one of my favorite platforms to interact with these omni-chain protocols because they just added Hyperlane. They made an announcement yesterday saying that they just integrated Hyperlane for a bunch of networks, including Arbitrum, Optimism, Base, Scroll, and a few other ones. And so you can now use Merkley to deploy NFTs and bridge them between these different networks on the Hyperlane protocol. So now you can use Merkley for Layer 0, for Wormhole, for Polyhedra, and Hyperlane. So this is becoming a multi-airdrop qualifier. I already was a fan of Merkley, and I recommend playing around with this and maybe doing a couple of transactions for Hyperlane. Okay, next up on the topic of the BERA chain airdrop, you should go and mint one of these tickets right here. So if you have been interacting with the BERA chain testnet, you've gotten some testnet tokens and you've played around a little bit, then you can buy one of these for free money because this doesn't actually have real monetary value. As long as you have these tokens in your wallet, you can mint one of these tickets. And this is going to prove that you are an early participant in the BERA chain testnet, but also give you a discount on these BERA NFTs right here. Now, if you have absolutely zero idea what I'm talking about and this sounds like complete gibberish to you, then I recommend going back and looking at my tutorial on how to use the BERA chain testnet. And once you've done all of the steps I outlined in that video, this will make a lot more sense to you. But yeah, definitely mint one of these. There's no harm in doing it and it costs zero money and it could have some upside. Okay, next up, I wanted to mention that if you are staking 35 TIA tokens or more, then you probably qualify for the alt layer airdrop. This happened a couple of days ago, but in case you haven't noticed or haven't heard about it, I do recommend going to check your Celestia wallet here. And if you have been staking over 35 TIA tokens, then you will qualify for some alt tokens. So for me personally, only one of my TIA staking wallets actually qualified for this airdrop because in the other ones I had below the 35 threshold. So only my main TIA staking wallet actually qualified for this one. The threshold was a little bit higher. So for Dimension, you only needed one TIA token, but for alt, you needed 35. And that's a big difference. And we're still kind of honing in on what the actual ideal amount of staked TIA you should have per wallet. But anyways, definitely do go check and claim this if you haven't yet done so. And on the topic of staked TIA airdrops, it looks like the Movement Labs airdrop is more or less confirmed because Stride is talking about it today. Now, I already talked about how you can stake your TIA tokens with Stride for liquid staked ST TIA. This is very similar to Milk TIA, so this is a competitor to Milk TIA, but it's definitely nice to have multiple options to liquid stake Celestia, and it's great to see that liquid stakers are getting airdrops as well, because even for the alt layer airdrop that I was just talking about, they included Milk TIA, liquid stake TIA token. So you didn't even have to natively stake. As long as you had 35 Milk TIA or natively staked TIA tokens, you qualified for that airdrop. And it looks like the Movement Labs airdrop as well is going to include liquid staking tokens. So this is definitely great news. And in my mind, it doesn't make me want to pull all of my native stake and put it into liquid staking, but maybe to allocate a higher percentage, because previously I had something like 90% of my TIA tokens staked natively and only 10% staked with liquid staking providers. And I'm thinking about diversifying that a little bit more. Maybe not quite 50-50, but I'm thinking something like 70-30. Okay, next up, we've got an update from Owl2 Finance, which is a bridge that I've talked about before on the channel. It's a tokenless bridge and it has a point system, so it's definitely a decent airdrop target, but you can also hit the ZK Sync airdrop as well by completing these tasks. So they released a Galaxy campaign where if you bridge any amount of any token to or from ZK Sync era using the Owl2 Finance bridge, then you can get this NFT. And there's two other NFTs for using ZK Sync Lite and for being a holder of the Libertas Omnibus NFT, which is the ZK Sync NFT that minted last year. So if you haven't already, this is definitely worth checking out because at minimum, this is a 2-for-1 airdrop transaction. Okay, next, actually, I wanted to go back to the topic of EIGEN, but focus more on the liquid restaking game. Because now we're seeing so many of these liquid restaking protocols pop up. We've already had EtherFi and then Swell threw their hat in the ring, KelpDAO, Renzo, Puffer is the newest one on the block, and they just keep coming. And so the question is, what is the optimal strategy for farming the EigenLayer airdrop, but then also all of these different protocols that do liquid restake tokens? Now, this guy on Twitter, Toby, had an interesting take. I'm not sure if I agree with it, but this guy's definitely a good follow on Twitter because he has some interesting information and valid points. So beyond looking at the stats for each of these protocols, including the funding and the TVL and all of that, it looks like his strategy is to put smaller amounts into each of the different protocols in multiple different transactions using multiple different tokens. So for example, he's directly staking some LSTs with EigenLayer. It looks like a total of 1 ETH with a couple of different ones in different wallets, I guess. But then he's also liquid restaking smaller amounts with a few different protocols, including it looks like 8 wallets with 0.1 ETH in EtherFi. Now this is an interesting approach, but I'm not sure if I agree with this strategy here. Because for starters, each time that you have to do a transaction on the Ethereum mainnet, and stake or restake and then wrap the tokens and then deposit them into a DeFi protocol, all these different things that you're doing are incurring transaction fees on the Ethereum mainnet, which can be quite expensive. Sometimes it can be $10, $20 just to do one single transaction. And so if you're splitting it up into so many different smaller amounts and multiple different wallets, then you're really racking up those transaction costs. So just by reestablishing all of these things that he's done here, that's probably a couple $100 in transaction costs. And so in my mind, this is only going to be worth it if each of these different restaking protocols implement some sort of tiered system where the baseline or the minimum tier actually has a decent amount of an airdrop. But if the airdrop is actually more linear and more directly correlated to simply the number of points that you can collect, then I think it's actually much more capital efficient to allocate all of your assets into one wallet instead of splitting it up, for example, into 8x 0.1 ETH deposits and just go all in one wallet and then accumulate the maximum number of points possible. And then at this point, you also have to differentiate between the different liquid restaking providers because the Swell token is confirmed to be launching basically in just under 2 months. It's launching sometime in the end of Q1, whereas Puffer Finance literally just launched a couple of days ago. And so at this point, if I was starting from scratch and wondering where to put my capital, I would want to put more into the newer protocol because I can rack up more points and actually get a solid portion of their airdrop. Anyways, those are just a couple of my thoughts. Of course, I could be completely wrong if actually all of these airdrops implements a tiered sort of system where the minimum tier actually gets a solid amount of an airdrop. But if, as I suspect, it's going to be more linearly correlated to the number of points that you simply have, then I don't think that this approach would be the best. And if you want to hear me talk more about this eigenlayer and restaking meta and what the actual optimal strategy is to farm these different airdrops, let me know and I can add this to my list of videos to make and go more in depth on this. Okay, just 3 more quick things that I wanted to hit on today. There's a couple of websites or apps that you can use to check how you're actually doing for different airdrops, including L2s and layer 0. So this one is wenser.xyz. And this one is NFT Copilot. Okay, and with each of these apps, all you have to do is just select which airdrop you want to check. So let's do Linea on this one. Paste your wallet address in and click the check button. Then it automatically pulls up how many transactions your wallet has done on how many unique days, weeks, months, whether or not you've used the different bridges, the total volume you've done. And so you can see generally how you stack up. So wenser.xyz is good to see an overview of all of your individual statistics, but then actually NFT Copilot is useful to see where you rank relative to others. So this is checking my ZK Sync airdrop rank, and according to this, for my demo wallet for the channel here, based on the volume and the number of transactions and smart contracts that I've interacted with, I am the 877,988th ranked wallet. And that is out of 4.9 million total users. And so these websites don't actually help you get the airdrops themselves, but they're definitely useful to sort of keep track of and gauge your progress, especially if you want to see how you're doing relative to others. And with this NFT Copilot website, you can check not only ZK Sync, but also Layer 0, Starknet, Scroll, and then there's this Sybil test, where you can take a quick quiz and it will tell you what your risk is of being weeded out or excluded from receiving airdrops for being a Sybil. So yeah, I'll leave links to these down below because they're definitely useful sites to see. Okay, 2 final things. The first is that I am gonna do another giveaway to celebrate hitting 30,000 subscribers here on YouTube. So thank you again to everyone that has supported the channel since I hit another pretty big milestone. I'm running a poll to see what you guys would rather have for the giveaway prize, and that's gonna be either ETH, SOL, or TIA, but potentially something else if there's a strong preference in the comments. So I'll leave a link to this down below, and if you wanna vote in the poll, this will be live for another 20 hours or so. And then after this is done, stay tuned because I'll be releasing more details on how you can enter and qualify to win. And then the final thing that I wanted to mention is that my airdrop snowball mint on Zora is still live, and I wanted to bring you an update because we have a new top minter, which is Pega88, with 100 of these minted. Now, as I promised, the top minter of the Epic Snowball on the Zora network, which also is an airdrop that you can farm, by the way, I previously made a video of that, but anyways, the top minter of the airdrop Snowball NFT is going to receive a 15% cut of the total profits. So currently, 2,687 of these have been minted, and Zora pays me 0.000444 ETH per mint. And so if we multiply that by 0.15, we can see that the current payout for the top minter is 0.178, almost 0.18 ETH. And the current cost to mint 101 of these is 0.078 ETH. So there's definitely an arbitrage opportunity there for somebody if you want to try and take the top spot. Anyways, that is it for today's update. Thanks so much for watching, and it's good to be back. I'll have lots more content coming out this week, including more in-depth tutorials on how to qualify for some of these upcoming airdrops. So stay tuned and have a great day.